All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Coffee Talk with Liquidshano. As you know, I am Liquidshano. My name is Shane Lakita, and I told you guys again, I told you over and over and over again, if I bring somebody in on an interview, I'm bringing people in that inspire me, people that help motivate me, that give me purpose of literally watching their stories and different stuff that's going on, become friends with them, and then just hearing the things that they've overcome and the things that they do is so inspiring to me. So I told you I'd bring in some folks that are really, really cool like that, and you guys would love anything that we have going on with it. This gentleman right here with me right now, his name is Garit. He's otherwise known as CW_Wood over on TikTok. I'll put a couple of his handles right at the bottom of the page as we're doing this interview. But I wanted to share his story with you guys because I think a lot of you that have come to a point in your life where whether it's I'm faced with really tough challenges or I'm faced with the decisions that I have to make to refocus and refire or anything that you got going on, he's going to tell us a little bit about his story of where he's been and what he's been through to be able to bring him to where he is today. And I know that he and I have talked a lot on, through the socials and everything else, but it's been a really good relationship. And he actually just donated some stuff to our latest charitable fund foundation thing that we were putting together. So much love to Garit. Garit, welcome aboard, my brother. How you doing, man?
Hey, man, I'm doing real good. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I always enjoy a good chat with you.
Well, what I love is I remember back in the day when I had this, I was just starting off in TikTok and I was just kind of, feeling the whole thing out. And I remember seeing this guy with a sander on the thing. And he did this video where he says, you know what I do when I'm doing some sanding, I listen to Liquidshano Coffee Talk podcast. And I'm like, who's this guy? Wait, what is going on right now? And he had headphones on. He had his sander grinder going, man. I was like, yes, dude, this is my dude, man. I love it.
Yeah, that was so I think that's where we started talking, and I think we moved to Clubhouse and talked more, and then we just kind of now I just pop in and drop in and say hey and check on you. I'm one of those people. A lot of friends of mine will say that. I'll just drop in and be like, hey, how are you? Like, but not like when you walk down the street, and you say, hey, how are you? And you could say anything like burnt burritos or like, good, me too. No,
Yeah,
I really want to know how you're doing, right?
right.
You want to check in on your people. So yeah, it's been fun getting to know you and watching your growth and your story.
I
Um,
appreciate that, brother.
it's I like watching. I want everybody around me to succeed. That's the biggest thing. That's what I love the most.
I love that, man. We'll get into that too, man, because I think that's right up my alley. That's probably why we connect so well, is because I think we both have the same vision about the fact that we want to hype other people up. We want to lift other people, individuals. We want to see people succeed and those kind of things. So with all that being said, now let's get right into the meat and potatoes of everything here. I promised these folks that they would hear a story from you. Let's talk about the beginning stages of where you were at with the woodworking, with
Mhm.
anything else before all the other stuff happened. Let's talk about that part of your journey and where you're at, and where you're from, and those kind of things. If you just fill us right in, Garit. Appreciate it.
Sweet. So to get to the future, we always have to go through the past, right? So it's very simple to start my story. Hi, my name's Garrett. I'm an alcoholic. That's how this all got started. I was a heavy alcoholic. I think I'm coming up on 8 years sober.
Wow.
And one of the things they talk about, I did AA for a little while. A lot of it wasn't for me, but I kind of kept that network of people. My boss at my day job basically said, "Get sober, or you're fired."
Mm,
Because if he was actually one of my groomsmen in my wedding. That's kind of friend he was, but
yeah.
he said basically, if I keep you employed, I am enabling you to drink. And I went home. I was dating my now wife at the time, who was another rock in this whole building.
Mm-hmm.
And I basically went home and said, "All right, I'm sober." And
Really?
I had the worst week of my life. I was sick, the shakes, the laying on the bathroom floor. Oh, it's horrible. But when and if anybody's been through that process, you know that it's very hard because once you quit drinking, you got to deal with the real stuff.
Right.
So somebody told me, they said, get a hobby, find something to do to keep your hands busy, your
Mm-hmm.
mind busy, something like that. And so I went to this old guy's shop, just kind of I was making, what was I making? I was making something for my wife, just a shelf. I've got a background in kind of tinkering with woodworking.
Yep.
My grandfather was a big woodworker. My great grandfather was a woodworker.
Did they do it for a living, or was it just hobbies?
So my great grandfather, he did a lot more carpentry. Like we've got, like your foot locker in the military.
Yeah.
His was a wooden foot locker, but that was his tool chest. We still have it. I have it
Wow.
at my shop, and it's got sheetrock hatchets. That's how they used to cut sheetrock, was with little hatchets. Um, all kinds of hand tools. So he had that. And then my grandfather, he actually built my first skateboard ramp when I was a kid.
Really?
And my dad was an electrical engineer. Like
Okay.
he was brains. He's one of those, just my dad knows everything. Like in my brain, my dad knows
Yeah,
everything.
he knows a
Like,
little bit of it all. Yep.
right. I could call him and he'd be like, yeah, you just do that and you're done. Like
You're like, I was wasted hours on that.
right, right. And so I made a cutting board, just
Yep.
one. It was horrible. It wasn't square. It wasn't as sanded. The finish was it was awful. It just was. But I loved it. I really enjoyed the process of it. Um, and so I made another one, a couple others to kind of hone that skill, kind of get better at it.
Mhm.
And I made one for a buddy as a gift for doing my taxes because I didn't have enough money to pay him. Right, I was that broke at that time.
Yep.
My wife and I were still dating. We were living in this little bitty house in downtown Chattanooga.
Still
And
just starting your sobriety still, like, just like yeah,
still just, I mean,
right.
probably less than 8 months into my sobriety.
Yep.
I wasn't even at a year yet. And I made a cutting board for a buddy. And his buddy reached out and wanted one.
Mhm.
So I made him one. I mean, I was charging like $40. I didn't know any. I was getting scraps from places,
Yeah.
just whatever I could find. I was using my grandfather's tools. Um, and so I made a board for him, and his buddy wanted one, and his buddy wanted one. And my wife said, "Why don't you try and sell these? Nobody's gonna buy these. They're a bunch of sticks glued together.
Who wants these
Who
things?
wants to? Okay, I may do it one time. Great, awesome."
Yeah.
But we put it out on Facebook. I didn't have any of the socials or any of that stuff. I was just trying to drink. And we put it out on Facebook. I said, "Hey, I'm going to make a batch of cutting boards. Who would like one?" And there wasn't any rhyme. I wasn't doing that just to see how many orders I could get. I was doing it to see how many people wanted one.
Right.
So I knew how much lumber I had to go find.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
The
You're
first
still
order
broke.
was
You gotta find this wood.
right. You got to find. So, cabinet shop scraps,
Yep.
wood shop scraps from friends of my parents, anything I could find. My first order was for 35.
35 cutting boards?
Yeah. Blew my mind. I was like, well, now
Yeah.
I have to make them.
Yeah, now you're like, wait a minute. Now we're actually getting serious about this. It's getting serious.
So we did that. It took me a couple of weeks to make them. And my wife just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. She is my biggest cheerleader.
I
Like,
love
there's
that.
no way I could like, she's my person.
Yeah.
You hear people that are like, your wife can't be your best friend.
Mm.
They need a good slap with a shovel, right? That's it. Because my wife is my best friend. Like, she's my person. I want to do things with her.
Right.
I want to date her. So we put those out and everybody loved them. And I said, okay, cool. She said, do it again. I said, there's no way. I mean, basically everybody I knew at the time
They
bought
all
a
bought
cutting
'em.
board.
Yeah, they all
Who's
got cutting boards.
who's gonna want them again? So about 2 weeks after that, I spent the proceeds and I bought a couple of tools to upgrade that would make my life easier. And I bought some lumber, like good lumber, and just to try to make better product, right?
Right.
It was just a complete iteration of bettering myself, trying new things, trying new finish, trying new angles and bits and all the fun stuff. And about 2 weeks went by and I was doing that, and then she was like, "Do it again." I was like, "Okay, why not?" 45.
What?
Blew my mind. I had no idea. I word of mouth.
Yeah.
I did not do any marketing. I didn't do any of that, and it just traveled. So let's see. Then life shifted hard.
Mm.
My wife decided she wanted to own a radio station.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Nice.
I don't think I've ever told you this
No,
part.
I didn't hear this part.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So my wife used to be in radio a long time ago. She was
Yeah.
a DJ, and one of the guys that was her mentor um, called her up and said, "Hey, I bought this radio. Do you want to come run it with me?" And her salary, she didn't get a salary at first, right? This was complete gamble. She immediately had 20% stake
Real
off the cuff,
nice.
right? But they were building it, so she didn't make any money, right? They were just dumping it all back into the station. It was in a little town called Americus, Georgia.
Mhm.
And if you haven't heard of Americus, Georgia, that's okay. Most of the people that live there haven't heard of Americus, Georgia. Like it's a
Right.
little bitty hole in the wall. For
And
you
this is in
true.
Tennessee?
No, it's in Georgia.
It's in Georgia. Okay, gotcha.
Southwest Georgia. For you trivia buffs out there, it's actually the home of Habitat for Humanity,
Oh, cool.
because Jimmy Carter lived 10 minutes down the road in a town called Plains.
Yep.
So I actually met him twice.
I know exactly what you're talking about. We got married in Savannah, Georgia. I lived in Savannah, and of course that's Eastern.
Right.
But you know what I mean? Like we were out in Atlanta and some of the other areas we go visit and this, that, and the other. So
Mhm.
I know exactly what you're talking about, man. That's great.
Yeah. So, we moved down there. We got this little rental house. I wasn't making boards at the time. I was trying to find a job that would cover bills,
Right.
taking something that wasn't in my field. Um, Most people don't know what I do in my day job. So I tell them I'm a project manager.
Yeah.
I'm technically what you would call a scrum master. Pretty cool title.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different thing. Um, so we moved to Georgia, and the one thing I never wanted is a pool. I don't care if it's above ground. I don't care if it's in ground. I don't care. I knew that no matter what, I was going to be the one taking care of it.
Yo, 100%.
And I didn't
100%.
want to. So I was
No.
like, no pool. We bought our first house in Chattanooga. It had a above ground pool. I had them take it out when I bought it.
You're like, that's going away. Get it out of here.
Nope. So we sold that. We moved to Georgia, rented a house, trying to find a house down there. And my wife took me to this house, and we pulled in the driveway, and there was a 30 by 20-foot building out back. It was a shop.
Mm.
Metal building, perfect. Everything was awesome. So I'm walking up to it, eyes big wide, wine and cheese falling from the heavens, angels playing harps kind of thing. And
Uh-huh.
exactly. And I turn the corner and there's a freaking pool.
Oh no.
But she had me at this point.
Yeah.
So we took all the funds from selling our first house, and I said, listen, I am going to buy a couple of tools if we're going to do this. So I did. I bought a huge planer, big machine that flattens stuff, and a new table saw, a couple things. And we started making boards. I would travel almost every weekend, every other weekend back to Chattanooga because they had little markets up there. Well,
Right.
because I knew people, I did okay. I did well enough. We would make a little extra money because my job wasn't paying well. Her job wasn't doing, well at the time.
No.
Anybody. So I did that, and we were down there for 2 years, I think. And it
In
was
Georgia or
in Georgia. We were down there for 2 years, and it was one of the worst times ever.
really?
It was hard. It was very hard. We missed a lot with family while we were down there,
Mm.
and a lot of depression and mental instability.
Sure.
And I wanted to come home very badly, but I knew I couldn't say anything because I'm not going to crush my wife's dream, right? I'm not going to say, hey, it's time for you to quit.
Right.
That's not right. So she came to me and she was like, okay, it's time to go home. We're going to it's time to go home. She still had her steak, right?
Right.
But she was done.
Yep.
So she had grown it enough that she could just walk away.
Mhm.
I think I had everything planned to be back home in like 24 hours. Like I was ready to go.
I
I
was gonna
was
say when
gone.
she said that in one way, you're
Yeah,
like, "Oh, babe,
yeah.
listen, I'm so sorry this happened." Internally, you're like, "Let's go. We're
This is
going home."
horrible. Pick up the walkie-talkie, like, Operation Get the Heck Out is on. So we did that, and we moved back up here, and my wife, going through getting sober was hard.
Mhm.
Going through making amends for things, dealing with the people that I had hurt was hard. And I'm a big believer in karma, right? I believe what you put out, you get in.
Yep.
And as soon as we decided to come back, everything started falling into place
Mm.
like puzzle pieces. We lived in this town that only had 17,000 people, that the average time a house was on the market was a year and a half.
Wow.
Our house sold in 30 days.
Mm.
One of my very good friends called and said, "Hey, we're looking for a digital project manager. I heard you were coming back up to Chattanooga." I interviewed, I got the job in that took like 2 interviews and I had the job.
Right.
That was at a company called Mohawk Flooring. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that big, massive flooring company, but it was fun. It was good. I was there for about 3 years.
Yep.
So we were starting to do well. We rented a house because we wanted to figure out where we wanted to be. We put the shop at my parents' house because I couldn't build a shop in a rental.
Right.
Even though it was small, we couldn't do it. So we put it at my parents' house and I'd just drive back and forth and I was doing my day job. So I literally would wake up, go to work, come home, change clothes, go to the shop, come home. My wife was working. She went back to work at her old job. I'd come home, cook dinner because she was working late, and we'd finally stop at like 9 o'clock
Right.
for about a.
Do you think you grinded so bad like that? Did you think you grinded like from beginning to end all the way, whatever, to keep that? Like, I asked this question only because I have some experience. My wife was also an alcoholic, and
I already know where you're going.
she quit drinking
Yes.
11 years ago. It was literally like I got to keep my mind on stuff to
Hmm.
make sure that I'm not thinking about the bottle or anything like that. Just mind on things, right?
I did not have an off switch,
Right.
right? And one of the things they talk about, and I was a victim of it, is don't replace your addiction with an addiction.
Mm,
Right? Don't replace your addiction with an addiction. But people think addiction is drugs, alcohol.
right.
That's it, right? That's what they think because it's a stigma. Addiction can be food, it can be working, it can be, gaming, it can be watching TV, it can be laziness. Like there's all kinds of addictions that you don't think about. But mine was projects.
Yep.
I would move from project to project, so I still didn't have to deal with that stuff.
Right.
Um, that's cool for a while.
Right.
Until again, it hits you like a ton of bricks.
Yes.
And I'm thankful for my wife. We would go out. We didn't go out. We didn't leave the house for about the first year I was sober. And then we started to go out a little bit and then we moved. So it was even better because nobody knew my story. Nobody knew I was this big alcoholic. So I didn't have
Right.
to explain it. Why haven't you seen me? I didn't have a beard at the time.
Whoa.
Nobody, if I cut my beard off, you would have no clue who I am.
I'm like, who's that dashing young man that's
No, no, don't ask my wife that either. Those filters on like TikTok where you like put your hand over and pull it down, there's nothing.
Yeah.
I did that. She's like, "Ugh."
Yeah, my wife's the same way. I shave my beard and my mustache off in the month of November for Movember, and I
Mhm.
used to just grow a mustache for the month. She's like, never do that again. You can raise the money, you can do
You can
all
do
the
whatever
different
you want, but
challenges.
it
Do
stays.
not keep the beard on. Dude, I said, all right, I got you. I got you.
Yeah, and I would just do project to project.
Right.
I would just not stop. So we had the shop at my parents' house, which was 5 minutes from the rental that we got. And then everything changed.
Yeah.
April 12th, 2020. COVID had just started,
Right.
right? We got hit with an EF3 tornado.
Mm.
Sustained winds of up to, I think it was 135, gusts of 150 miles an hour. So everybody I talked to after the fact, and we'll get into that because it has a lot to do with who I am right
Yeah, absolutely.
now. Everybody I talked to in our neighborhood, because as soon as it started, and we had our golden retriever Gary, who my wife would murder all of us to save this dog. I'm not kidding you.
I love it.
He had had surgery, his ACL had torn, so we had to keep him low to the ground. He couldn't jump. This is how much my wife loves this dog. She took our mattress and slept in the living room on the floor with the dog.
Right. That's my
And
wife is so
I'm
much.
back there in the bedroom like, oh, well, all right. So she was laying in the floor that night. Her birthday's the 11th, and so we were hanging out on the 12th, and it was raining, but, in the days of streaming, we weren't watching the news, right? We're watching,
Right.
like, Netflix or something, we were about to go to bed. We are up later than usual because 'cause I'm usually in bed by 10 because we get up so early. Um, and then but something happened. Oh, the Netflix didn't connect, and so I had to go in there and fix it.
Yep.
It's like 11:15. I had just done that. I had the window to our room open because I like the sound of rain. I knew it was raining. I was just going to open the window. It's nice. My wife's in there. I can do it. Cool. All of a sudden, I was walking. All of a sudden, a huge bolt of lightning hit.
Mm-hmm.
My child is very scared of thunderstorms. You're going to hear me say they a lot. They are non-binary.
Yep.
So they go by they, them.
Sure.
And so they came screaming out of their room. And as soon as they stepped foot out of their room, their bedroom door slammed shut
Mm.
because a piece of the roof had been taken off, slung around, came through the window, and landed on their bed where they were sleeping.
Oh, smokes.
2 seconds different, we would be having a different conversation.
Wow.
So
Wow.
they screamed. As soon as they screamed, I jumped. The power went out. Then the noise started. And when I say it was loud, I was screaming at the top of my lungs from here to here to my wife, and she couldn't hear me.
Wow.
She froze. I might have thrown her down a half a flight of stairs. Shh. uh, so we got, I'm a bit of a prepper. I know that's weird, but the downstairs closet was underground. The
Yep.
only thing in it, because I knew we were supposed to have bad storms, I didn't know they were supposed to be this bad. But it had water, sleeping bags, pillows, a flashlight or two back in the back of it because it went back so far, and dog food. That's it.
Yeah.
So we ran downstairs. I literally pulled the dog food out, and they got in. My child's screaming because their cat's missing. I grab a cat. I've still got scars from it being like, I'm going with you.
Yeah.
And then nothing. And when I say it was quiet, it wasn't like it was quiet. It was like there was a lack of sound.
Right. Like you're in one of those rooms where like everything is just like so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Or in a snowstorm when it's like all insulated.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
That was the most terrifying feeling in the world because you don't know what's next, if it's
Right.
coming again or whatever. And then everything went back into, focus. We had rain draining into our house. It literally came through and almost picked the roof off.
Yeah.
Um, and so once we realized we had an emergency radio, once we realized it had passed, we went outside. It was so bad. The back deck door was dead bolted and it shifted the house so much. It blew that door in and blew our dining table across the room. My wife says the most terrifying moment was she looked out and lightning flashed. And our backyard was trees, like these huge 40, 50-foot trees.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Mm.
There was nothing out there. Come to find out, the base of this thing was about a quarter mile.
Wow. That's insane.
The base of it.
Yeah.
We had a friend that was a fire rescue guy. They had over 500 entrapment calls in the first 3 minutes.
Oh, I bet.
Only 4 people died.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Everybody I talked to had that one moment.
Right.
Like my child screamed and came out of their room.
Yeah.
That was our one moment.
Wow.
The next day we looked at the front window. I had put some of that tent on. You know, I'm talking about that film.
Yeah. Like, yep. I know what you're talking about.
We looked outside and we were just kind of checking the house, and there was a 2x4 on the ground. And I was looking, I was like, wow, that window looks cracked. It had literally hit the window where my wife was sleeping, and that film was the only thing that kept that window together.
No.
You know, like bulletproof glass, how it's got that polymer in between?
Yes.
Did the same thing. So all of those little moments happened. Well, that was our house.
Right.
My parents' house got hit too.
Yep.
So the shop got hit, and the shop the tornado destroyed everything in the shop. That planer I talked about, it picked it up and dropped it. It was 700 pounds.
Just like nothing. Like it was just a rag doll.
Yeah. And because my business had grown, I skipped over one part. We got accepted to something called the Chattanooga market. So for you guys, I'm in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we have something called the Chattanooga market, and it goes from end of April through the Sunday before Thanksgiving, every Sunday. It's over 200 vendors. It's about the size of a football field, and it is the staple of the community.
I was going to say it must be a big deal if it's that large, right?
It is. I told you everything started falling into place.
Yep.
I wanted to get into that so bad. I was doing these little bitty markets, and my wife said, "You know what? Try it. Just apply. See what happens." And I put my paperwork in, and then all of a sudden I found out that I got in. And the only reason I got in was because there was a guy that had been there for 20 years selling cutting boards. They called him the board man, and he turned his paperwork in to retire that day. So while you're getting that situated, so the tornado took everything. You're still muted, buddy.
All right. Can you hear me now?
No, we're good.
I'm trying to hear you. Hold on 1 second.
Voice like velvet. So for you guys that are still out there while he's handling that, the tornado destroyed everything in the shop. You know, the insurance, I wrote down everything that was wrong with the tools, everything that was broken, all the machinery that we had been adding on to with the proceeds from our sales. Basically, everything went back into the company. And we put everything down, and literally the insurance people said, "We'll send an electrician out to look at your tools." I asked him if he'd send a pool guy out to look at our cars, because that's about the same. He didn't think it was funny. I thought it was hilarious. There's a shop here called Woodcraft. It's a national shop. I'll give you a pause for a second. See what you got going on.
You still there?
I'm still here.
Okay, great. Go ahead, man. Sorry.
Hey, here we are.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened, man. It was just like an audio issue. That's right. It happens.
All of a sudden your mic was like, nope.
Yeah, I know, man. I was like, oh, I was all nervous. I'm sweating bullets. That's all right, man. Go ahead. Now, where did we leave off? Like last that you were talking about. Go ahead.
So the tornado destroyed everything. I was just telling everybody else that was while you were fixing that I wrote down everything that was wrong with every tool, everything that was broken, because in our business, we pride ourselves on every single thing we do is food safe, right? Our cutting boards are 100% food safe. All the wood's kiln dried. It takes most of the moisture out, but it also kills all the parasites. Our finishes are natural finishes.
Right.
Well, when the storm happened, the ceiling dropped, the insulation came and just landed on everything. So everything was contaminated. So we had to start over, literally from scratch. And they weren't going to pay anything for any of it. And so I went to Woodcraft. It's a local, it's a national chain. And And then, I knew these guys because I would go in there a lot. And I told them what happened. They're like, "Oh, we can send a guy out there to do an assessment." For floods,
Yeah.
fires, stuff like that, they send a guy out. His name's Wayne. He knows more. He's probably forgotten more about woodworking than I've ever learned. Amazing, just a good human, right? He came out, he looked at all my notes, he goes, "Yeah, that's basically what's wrong," and wrote it out. Added a couple things, put it on their letterhead, and insurance company didn't even blink. They're like, "All right, cool." So we got
Awesome.
most everything back. We had a ton of support pour in from everywhere, strangers, people at the market, they started us up some, Venmo stuff. I don't like to take handouts. I'm horrible about it. I will avoid it at all costs, right?
Yeah.
I don't, because I know it's weird, but I feel like if I'm taking handouts, I'm not doing well enough.
Gotcha.
That's that mentality, that brain stuff you got to deal with after my insecurities, right?
Right.
All that stuff, because as outgoing as I am insecure about everything. It's always, when's the other shoe gonna drop,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Imposter syndrome, that's what I was looking for.
Right.
So we rebuilt the shop from scratch.
So just real quick, I'm going to paint the picture
Yeah.
now. So you go from becoming sober.
Yep.
You go from your wife doing the radio station right down in Georgia, right? You move back up to Chattanooga.
Yep.
Right. You
Yep.
get there, you get things, you're getting established. You got the wood starting to really come into play. You got the planer, you got the business rolling. Tornado comes through, wipes everything out. Right.
That was in a year after we've been back.
Right. A year after you've been back, wiped everything out. If you built this successful business, you guys were really kind of, starting to really hit on all cylinders. Everything was good to go. Where were you mentally during that period of time? Right. So we talked about before about, sobriety and stuff like that. Where were you at that moment in time thinking to yourself, were you just like, I'm just going to keep on moving forward? Or were you like, what is happening? You know what I mean? Like where were you at like mentally during all this crazy time?
Defeated.
Yeah.
But inside I was defeated. Like, I didn't know what I was going to do next, because we were renting, and that was a whole thing that we didn't get a lot back from. So we had to kind of, my child was in college. That's what the woodworking was for, right? The woodworking was paying for my child's college.
Gotcha. Yep.
Because my kid is my kid, but they came with the wife, right? But they're my kids.
Sure.
I swear my kids act more like me. It's terrifying. My kids are, my youngest is 21, my oldest is 26.
Nice.
Couldn't be more different. But I wasn't planning on sending a kid to college. I didn't know what to do. So we just started selling boards and pushing it. We got into, I think you were gone just a minute ago. That Chattanooga market is, were you there when I was talking about that? Were you on
Yeah,
there? Okay, you got that.
We just talked about the size of it.
It's just massive.
Huge.
It's massive. So we put our application in to try and get in.
Right.
My wife was the one that pushed me for that. She just goes, try. I was like, I'm not going to get in. There's a guy that had been there for 20 years since it started. Old guy they called the board man, right? Before I started this, when my wife and I first started dating, before I got sober, I actually bought one of his pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to speak ill, but looking back on it, it's horrible.
Like I say, you were sizing him up, man.
I didn't know I was at the time, but we still have it. I still have that piece, because I look at it and I look at the craftsmanship and I'm like, man, I'm never giving somebody something like that.
Right.
Not ever.
I will tell you, I have one myself. For all the people listening, I'm going to tell you what, man, that board is so well crafted and so well put together. It's just a solid, strong, as you know, man, I do a lot of smoking and a lot of griddle work and a lot of stuff outside. A lot of meats. So I'm chopping this stuff up, and the board itself, it's a centerpiece of my kitchen. I put it right in the middle so people can see the amount of, I know I can feel it when I'm looking at the craftsmanship of it and the bottom of it with the nubs and then the groove on the top to catch all the drippings and everything else. Just amazing work. So I know exactly what you're talking about when you look at another product or whatever, you're like, you know what, I'm not going to do anything like that. I'm going to be putting everything I got into what I do here, because it's going to make a difference. And I'll tell you what, I love using it so much that
And
shows.
that's what we love, right? Because we were actually really, because we got into the Chattanooga market, and that was when COVID was going on. We actually flourished.
Yeah.
We actually did okay because people were at home.
Right.
Our family loves food. My wife is a second generation Italian raised in the country. The woman can't cook for 2 people. It just doesn't happen.
It's all about the large meals,
It's
baby.
just she loves cooking for that's her love language. But, we sit around the island. We're always in the kitchen. And during COVID, a lot of other people were too.
Yeah.
And so we did all right. One thing you can look online at different companies like Booze Block and stuff like that, these big companies that started out small, and their prices are, I mean, they're proud of their stuff, right?
Right.
My prices have, I think I put my prices up like $20 one time for a little while,
Yeah.
and I actually brought them back down.
Really.
Yeah. Because I want people to be able, I don't want people to go, now, when I say I brought them up and brought them down, like, a 14 by 18 cutting board, it's handmade. It's 1.75 inches thick. It's all hardwoods at this time that are amazing. Uh, that goes for 160. But you think about it, you take care of that right, you're passing it on.
Oh yeah, man. 100%.
When you were talking about conversation pieces, a lady was up about a couple months ago. She's like, I want one, but I don't know which one. I said, pick the one your kids are going to fight over. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I love it. I love it.
So the Chattanooga market has opened up so much for us.
Yep.
Business wise. We have one stop along the way is I got burnt out.
Okay.
Well, I mean, this isn't all
post tornado.
Oh, this was probably about a year ago. So this post tornado.
Got you.
Everything was running smooth. At that time, we now service 2 realtors that each get about 15 cutting boards a month.
Oh, I've seen that before. They give away like charcuterie boards or boards.
They give them as closing gifts.
Yep.
One of them gives it to the new if they're buying a home, they give it to the buyer. One company gives it to their sellers.
Right.
Which I thought was cool, right?
Yeah, that is cool.
And what I do is
hopefully they give them something, right?
Right. I mean, the amount you're paying them. So what I started doing, I've got a brand my wife got me. This little just says CW Woodworking. It's on the back of yours, I think, or on the side. You can see it.
Yep.
She bought me that our first year of marriage. And I will never change it. My logo design has changed. All that's changed. But I will always use that.
Why?
Because of what it means. My wife was there at the beginning. My wife pushed me. I want you to know that this is still a small business. I'm not manufacturing. I am creating.
Right.
Because every one of my boards is a one-off unless I'm specifically asked to make a duplicate. It may be a millimeter difference, but I can show it to you.
Right.
Because I want your board to be your board. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's a story piece. Most of my clients leave them out. Right? It's a conversation piece. I get emails from clients saying, I love looking at my board.
Yeah, mine's out for everybody to see.
Yeah, it's a great conversation piece, which is another thing we love. We like bringing people together.
Right.
That's one thing about my wife. She loves people. She's a big introvert, but she loves people.
I will tell you what I love about this whole entire conversation from top to bottom. You have layered your wife in about 30 or 40 times because she has been the person that has been your support, your rock, your person has lifted you up, pushed you when you needed to be pushed. Probably also, like my wife does for me, knocks you down a peg when you get a little too high as well, right? Like, hold on. What are you doing? Let's be sensible, whatever. But also when I'm feeling down, I gotta have her. She's gotta be. It's like she's literally like, come on, let's go. I'll pick you up. Well, let's go catch a movie. Let's go do something. Let's take a break. Let's take a break from all the whatever she does for me at that moment in time. We've been together for 23 years. Mm-hmm. I'm the same exact way. I talk about her all the time. So I love the fact that during this whole entire story, she's layered in each one of these different stories about somebody that was there that you needed during everything from sobriety to rebuilds to tornadoes to everything. She legitimately was there for you during the whole entire time. And I love that you you celebrate in that a little bit. You know what I mean? So that's pretty cool.
She almost left me when I was a drunk.
Right.
I say I was an alcoholic. I am an alcoholic. Let's be
Yep.
real.
Yep.
But she did. She told me she almost left me, and I get it. I don't see why she wouldn't have. I was an
Right.
idiot.
Right.
I was not a good-looking man like I am now.
Dashing. Dashing.
But we talk about that a lot. We talk about how we see people and couples, and you can tell they just don't like each other.
Right.
Right. I like my wife.
I
I
see it all the time, man. I'm like, oh boy. Oh
yeah.
boy.
That's why I know you can probably attest to this. Most times I ask how you are. I also ask how your wife is.
Yep.
Right. Because
Absolutely.
your person, whoever they are, is your biggest fan. So of course I'm gonna check to see because that's a big part of your life.
Right.
Right. So burnout. Yeah, we had 2 realtors, and all I was doing was making cutting boards, right?
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Cutting boards are not rocket science in the world of woodworking. They're really not. And if you had asked me
with a bunch of slats in it, right?
right, and if you had asked me, let's see, at this point it was 5.5 years in, if I was going to have a sustainable cutting board business, at that time I had 1 apprentice, so I have 1 employee.
Yep.
We're doing enough to where if I wanted to, it could be a full-time job, but why? We're doing well enough to I could still do my day job, which I enjoyed. Why
Right.
not just keep doing it? But I was bored, right? I'm cutting, I'm gluing, I'm pressing, I'm sanding. Cutting, glue, pressing,
I
sanding.
can so see that being pretty
Cutting, glue,
monotonous after a period of time. Yeah. Yep.
right? It's like wax on, wax off kind of thing.
Right.
That's all I was doing.
Yep.
And so my wife was like, try something else. So I made a couple of bird houses. I was like, ooh, this is fun. I'm gonna do this. That lasted like a week.
You're like, no, I'm all set with the birdhouses.
I'm
It. Good.
I'm good. I've got a lathe. I was turning stuff, and I was like, no. I like to turn stuff like pens and stuff, as a palate cleanser if I'm getting bored.
Right.
But I came back to cutting boards, and I started changing things up. I started making bigger. There were 2 sizes at that time, 16 and 18 long is what we call them.
Okay.
I started doing what I call the brisket boards, which is your size, that 24-inch long. It fits a 3-pound brisket, a full-size turkey, a full slab of ribs. That's all I tested. I don't know. You can attest to whatever else.
Yeah, everyone, all the above. Check them all off, man. All the above. Because I love meats. Let's go.
But we had really built a reputation.
Right.
Right. I had people that would come up and say, hey, I got one of your boards when I sold my house. They were more excited about the board. Like, that's what they talked about. They didn't tell me anything about the house. They were like, I love my board. I use it for this and this and this. I'm like, how's the house? They're like, nah, I love this and that. So it really started building that fire back up, right? Like, I am making somebody happy. I started paying attention more to the people. I'd have young couples saying, this is my first adult gift, right? That's cool.
I love that.
So we started going into restaurants and saying, hey, what can I do for you? And we did some really cool stuff for some restaurants around here where I'd inlay one type of wood into a cutting board.
Did you like butcher blocks and stuff like that too? Like, yeah.
I'm actually about to start 3 black limba butcher blocks, but I'll get off topic.
That's a dream of mine, man. I want to have a butcher block one day, man. One day.
I may hand deliver it to you one day.
Absolutely, man.
So we started paying attention to the people. I started really Clubhouse, right?
Right.
I found this group called In the Shop. And during COVID, I was talking to them every day.
Right.
And I became friends with them to where last year in October, I went up to a place called Maker Camp.
I remember.
Right? You remember me talking about this.
Yep.
That's where everything changed. Like I found all of my inspiration.
Oh, I love that.
I started talking to people. It was basically an adult summer camp, right?
Yep.
Blacksmithing, welding, powder coating, plasma cutting, leather work. I made a wallet silversmithing. I made my wife some rings.
Love it.
Printmaking. I mean, all kinds of stuff,
Did you?
right?
Was it like a bunch of like a bazaar where you like walk into the one shop and do something over here and then do a little
Yeah.
bit there? That's amazing.
It was like a kid's camp where you like, paint the birdhouse here, color book here, but it was a welding, and I welded a tea lighthouse type thing.
Yep.
Um, I powder coated a beard comb and a Christmas ornament, and there was all kinds of stuff. Pewter casting, that was cool.
Oh wow, nice.
Pewter casting was fun, but I got to meet all these people that I talked to on Clubhouse in real life.
That's really cool.
And I met and talked to, I had the, so I'm shameless plug here, company called Brunt. They've been awesome to me. I've been working with them for a little bit. I met them in person in New York, and we got started working together. They make workwear, boots, blue collar. I mean, think blue collar, right?
Yeah.
Your heavy boots, work pants, shirts. They just put out a line of summer gear, like lightweight stuff that's amazing. But I got to meet those guys and talk to them, and now we're working together.
Oh, that's cool.
Right now, I promote their stuff.
Well, I've seen you a couple times. I don't know if it's the same group of people that you're talking about here with them or anybody else, but I know that I've seen you a couple times on Instagram where you're in a room of about 6 or 7 different people, and you guys are all doing woodworking, and you guys are all just kind of jamming out with each other. Now, listen, I don't do a lot of woodworking, but I love the creativity and I love the drive, and I'm just sitting there going, this is amazing to me that these guys are all just jamming out with each other about the same thing that they're jamming out about, but there's a bond there with what they're doing, and I love to see that sometimes, man. I love that.
Usually, if you see me on Instagram on a live with those 4,
Yeah,
those are the Clubhouse friends that I met that I didn't know 2 years ago.
wow.
And now one of those guys is out in California. I talked to him this morning on Instagram messaging. We're doing an oiling battle right now, which is hilarious. Just oiling boards and who does it better.
I'm gonna say it right now. You know how there's like the ASMR and things like that people watch. When you do those where you dip it into the oil and you dip it in there, I'm just like, I love everything about it. I stop in my tracks and just watch it and go, whoa, man. Because I got my board and I know that the process that you go through it, that's there. Like teak oil? What is that? Like, is it like what kind of
it's a food safe oil. So I'm actually about to start working with a company. It's a small business, just like me.
Yep.
Called Bumbleshoots.
Okay.
And this guy's a pilot, like a commercial airline pilot.
Yeah.
And on the side, he started up a wood finish company.
Right.
And so I'm actually going to start selling his stuff at the market and using his stuff. I'll send you some. It's great. But I love supporting little businesses like that. Like most of these companies I started working with are now these big corporates, and they don't really care anymore, right?
Right.
It just doesn't, but when I message this company, you're messaging the guy.
Right.
Right? You're not messaging some
a
bot.
gatekeeper or an admin assistant that's like, you're not listening. I'm not through to anybody too.
Exactly. So that's what we're focusing on now, is helping out and promoting and supporting other small businesses like ourselves.
Right.
We've started doing charity work. Huge for us. I love it. We donate boards to auctions that we care about.
Right.
American Cancer Society, American Heart Association. My dad, a couple of years ago, it's actually right when we bought our first house. Technically, he died twice on the table.
Really?
But now he's got 4 stents, and he's a big dude. I'm the runt of my litter. I'm 6'4".
You're the runt and you're 6'4"? Oh,
yeah, my little brother's 6'8". My dad's 6'3", but he's built like an ox.
Yeah.
But he doesn't get around well. And so that's why we bought a house since the tornado. We bought a house, right?
Yep.
Like real fast, just because we got lucky. But the shop's still at my parents' house because we found that when I was there, my dad would get up and come out and tinker in the garage.
I see. There's 2 sides to this. I see what you're doing here. I see it.
To the point my mom would call every now and then on a Saturday morning and go, "Hey, are you coming to the shop today?"
Yeah.
I didn't really plan on it. Why? Oh, Dad was just asking. I'll be there in 5.
Yeah. Yep.
Like,
I'm gonna drop it. I'm there.
I'm out. Here we go. It's just, and I've gotten to talk to my dad more. Me and my dad didn't really talk growing up. I definitely didn't talk when I was drinking.
Right.
Um, Heck, I just found out the other day my grandfather was on Normandy.
Oh wow.
He's
That's
got
wild.
the cot I used to sleep on as a kid. It had a hole in it right here. I didn't know. It's a piece of shrapnel came in when he was sleeping on Normandy.
Oh, that's
Right?
crazy, man.
Like, it's fun to talk these stories with my dad and, you know, hear stories about where my family came from. Apparently, they're a bunch of derelicts, gunslinging derelicts from Southern Mississippi,
They
right?
probably all had beards like you, and they were ready to go
Just
throughout the.
there was a Wild Bill in the family, all that stuff. So, we've I'm blessed right now, but I've also worked my tail off.
Yeah, so I was going to say that, and I don't mean to interrupt, but I love the fact that when you're talking about your journey here, just listening to your conversation when you said you went up to the place to go do
Maker
all the
camp.
building, yeah, and then you came back, that changed everything. What I sense from you and what I can feel from you, going from a place where you were just kind of figuring things out, not really, I mean, you're kind of figuring things out. You had a wife that was kept on pushing you, hey, keep on going, burnout stage, all these other things. You're just like, what's going on? But now I feel like your purpose is different than what it was before. Before it was kind of like a hobby for sobriety, for all these different things. And now your purpose is, wait a minute, we can do a lot of good for people. We can help other people, other small businesses and whatever else to be able to do so. I'm blessed with where I'm at. So why not give back and do the things that I have to do along with having a thriving business and keep things moving forward. So
Right.
it's a totally different dynamic from where you were to where you are. And I think that's incredible when you think about it. Your journey, the path of where you've gone has taken you to a point now where you think differently about things, right? And you're like,
Very
hey,
much so.
that's pretty amazing.
We'll skip ahead to what's going on right now. I left Mohawk and I went to basically a contract company to where I work wherever they send me, and did very well with my negotiations. Um, I retired my wife this past December from her day job.
Wow.
She does our admin work. She was in a dark place mentally, and I was like, you know what? You don't have to work. We'll tighten up, but you don't have to. She's going back to college, doing all
Wow.
kinds of stuff. We now have 2 realtors, a brick and mortar store that they're going to carry us locally. It's a local store,
Ooh, here we go.
exclusively,
Yeah.
right? No other cutting board company. And she said she's had a lot reach out, but she was a, a client. All of the business we do is a client at some point
Yes.
before.
I
So we've
love
got that. And, my my mother-in-law's moved in with us. She's got congestive heart failure, so we're taking care of her.
Trevor. Yep. Yep.
She's like having another teenager. She just hangs out in her room and comes out to eat and goes back to her room. It's
Yes.
great. How,
Teenage life, baby. Yes.
most people would hate having their mother-in-law. I absolutely love it. I get to openly make fun of her, and she laughs at my dad jokes, so we're good. It's golden.
Nothing behind the back. You're right out in the front. Let's go.
Right out in the front. I think she came down one day and she was like, "You know what happened to me today?" I was like, "You've realized you're old." Just just little jabs, little jabs. She gets me too. I love it.
Yeah, I love it.
So wife's been admin. She's ready. She told me the other day she's ready to get back into the workforce. So she's going to go back to work. She's already had several calls from people that she used to work with.
Now, I don't ask because this isn't really her speaking, but you know her better than everybody else. Was the dark time that she had felt where she was at, where you went to the retirement piece, was that based on, do you think it was based on all that you guys have been through with the tornado, with the loss of everything, with all that stuff, or was it just more of a place? Because now you had to be the supporter, right? Now you've got to be the person that goes, hold on, you were there for me during my dark time, and now I'm there for you. Was there a trigger or a reason why she fell down that road?
I think her day job changed tremendously,
Okay.
to the point that it was sucking her soul out of her toenails, kind of thing.
Gotcha.
But my wife is the smartest, strongest, hardest working person I know. I'm looking at that table in the background. It's totally going to break. You think a woodworker would fix that?
It's going.
Well, I mean,
He doesn't know. Check it out, guys. Look at the. And for those on the podcast, you can't see it, but I'll describe it to you.
Yeah.
It's a large, humongous plant that's like the size of like Alaska. That's sitting on this little table. That's right through.
It's a Monstera that's probably about 7 years old. That we got. I traded that for a cutting board and a donation to a animal shelter.
Nice.
And we put it there, and it's just grown, and we just left it because it's basically going to live with the house. We can't get it out of this room anymore.
It's not going anywhere. By the time it's done, that thing's gonna be all over the roof. It's gonna be vines everywhere. It's gonna be crazy.
But it's a good 8 feet in diameter for those that can't see it. Yeah. So, sorry, that just completely took us off track. So
I've been watching it the whole time going, is it going to break? I don't know. It's bowing a little bit. I can't tell.
we'll see what happens. So yeah, her day job took a toll, and she finally just said, "I can't do this anymore." I was like, you know what? The little table that could.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you, Morgan, for that one. I'm gonna put a sign on that too.
I love it.
So she, December she did that. We did the holiday market in December. It's 6 days of targeted sales.
Right.
I think, I don't normally talk numbers, but just to give you an understanding, we did about 13 grand in 6 days.
Woo! That's outstanding.
Now we start making about a month and a half before.
Right.
And we still end up getting real close to selling out. But
well, I was gonna say, I remember you texted me because we chat sometimes when you're at shows, and you're like, you'll let me know I'm out. I'm almost sold out, and I'm like, what? That's outstanding.
Here we are 7 years later.
Yep.
Because we didn't really start until about a year after I got sober. So 7 years later, and people still buy stuff, and it blows my mind. It's a humbling thing to think, wow. Because that thing where people ask you, like, explain what you do, but explain it horribly. Right? I take big sticks, cut them into little sticks, and glue them back together to make a big stick.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what I do. Now we have my wife. I've got 2 salespeople. I've got 2 apprentices. An older, he's been the first one. He's been with me almost 3 years now. We just hired a new kid in the neighborhood where the shop is. He's 14. He sweeps up. He picks up scraps, but he makes a little bit of money. It's fun.
Hell yeah, I love that.
And we just did I have taken the biggest gamble of my life. We have taken the biggest gamble of our lives. We just won 8.15 acres of land at an auction.
You messaged me that, and I went, what? I meant, I knew I was going to cover it on the podcast, but I was like, wait, what is going to go 8 acres? Wow. Are you going to build like, what are you going to build a shop? Like what's happening?
Now we'll talk future CW.
Yeah. See, I love the progression, the past, the present, and the future. Yes.
I've been playing the biggest long game in the world.
Yeah.
Because the cutting boards are going to be retirement.
Yep.
Think about it. If I'd done furniture and I got older, I couldn't lift furniture after a while.
Right.
Cutting boards are small. So we're like, let's go in 100% on this.
Yep.
So we have. So we had a 5-year plan when we moved back to Chattanooga that we were going to buy land and build a house. We are 2 years ahead of schedule right now. The new land is actually in Georgia. It's about 7-10 minutes from my current residence because we live right at the bottom. If you guys don't know where Chattanooga, Tennessee is, it's in the very bottom right corner of Tennessee, right on the Georgia. Like literally, I can get to Georgia in 5 minutes. I can get to Alabama in 25.
Wow. A little hub.
I can get to North Carolina in 30.
Nice.
So it's right there. It's what they call a flagpole lot. So it's a long driveway, and then the property's in the back.
Yep.
It's zoned A1, which is agricultural.
Mm-hmm.
We will have animals. My wife wants runner ducks. You ever seen a runner duck?
I don't even know what that is.
I didn't either. I didn't know what a runner duck is. It's basically a bowling pin.
Runs?
It's basically a bowling pin with a beak and feet. Like it's a really tall. It's like me, but a duck because I'm just tall and Well, I used to be slender.
Does it look like this little guy right up here? Does the like see the guy
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, she wants ducks. But we're gonna have ducks, chickens, maybe a donkey. Donkeys are very good for security. If you didn't know,
I did not know that.
yeah, they'll take on coyotes. Um, but we're gonna have a small barn for that. We love to garden. We started gardening when we bought this house in the height of COVID and stuff.
Right.
Um, we had dinner tonight with most of the vegetables came from the garden.
That's awesome.
So she wants to do that. We're going to build a 40 by 40 foot shop.
That was my next question. Is there a big shop going to be going there?
Yes. And two reasons. One, I want to teach classes.
Yep.
But not the classes that you would think. I don't want to teach people how to make cutting boards. Why would I do that? I sell them.
Right.
I mean, let's be honest. That's not smart.
Right. Not a good business decision. Right.
I want to teach people. I have several people that come up to me all the time. Right now, I'm working on the insurance part, which is insane, trying to figure out what I can do.
Yep.
And hey, Josh, thanks for joining, buddy. No worries about being late. We're just having a good old time. I want to teach the people that inherited tools. Like I hear I've inherited tools from my granddad, or I've inherited tools from my dad. I don't know how to use them.
Right.
Bring them to the shop. Well, I'll show you how to use everything you've got.
Did you ever think about working with veterans?
We have thought about that a little bit. This is in the very early stage.
Oh, yeah. I totally get it. Yep.
So I would actually like to talk to you more about that at another time.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I'll get you in contact, or I'll even give you some great ideas. I work with veterans a lot, and something like that where they can get their hands on stuff and really be crafty and creative and those kind of things really does matter a lot of times in the veteran community, especially those that suffer from PTSD or those kind of things. It's an outlet for them, much like art is for me, right? Cartoons and artwork and stuff like that or whatever. When I get in creative mode, it literally takes you away from some of the pain that you're in and really focuses on things and making beautiful pieces to whatever it is, whatever they want to be able to do. So yeah, I didn't mean to sidetrack us, but that will definitely connect on that.
You're good. I love spitballing stuff like this. This is basically how all of my conversations happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Somebody explained my conversation style best. It's like trying to grab a ping pong ball that's covered in baby oil.
It's flopping around everywhere.
Yeah, it's just everywhere. But since we're zoned A1 in the county we're zoned in, we can have a short-term rental on the property as long as we live in the private residence.
Yep.
You want to come work in the shop for a weekend? Come stay at the house. You want to come work in the garden one weekend? Come stay at the house. You want to come hang out with the ducks? We're only going to clear about 2.5 acres of the property. The back half's going to be trails. We're going to build like little gazebos and camping spot and hangout places. It's going to be a compound.
That's really cool.
Because my wife and I, 2 years ago, I would not have been. I was working to the point where I was making boards to pay bills.
Right.
Like I've got to make 6 boards to pay this. And well, come on. You haven't met my wife, but if you think you can take her, I got faith in you.
I'm coming for the duck.
I'll be rooting for you. I love my wife. She's gorgeous. She's sweet. She's absolutely terrifying to me.
I love it. But think about it. Think about the iteration. Think about the growth and the journey, right? The journey that you're on right now. Now you're going to be on an 8-acre compound that has farming, that has animals, that has a shop, that has woodworking classes, that has all this other stuff. Dude, that's incredible to go from starting up at the bottom of a bottle, trying to just decide I'm going to be sober and really not even know what direction, where your wife almost left, all this other stuff went on, everything from top to bottom to where you are now, buddy. That's inspirational. And I know at any given time, you're like, hey, listen, you're humble. You are a very humble guy. But at the end of the day, I see what I see, and I see somebody that inspires. And I think that's amazing. It's one of the reasons why I have you on this podcast, because it just goes to show, even if you're at the bottom and you're at the lowest and you're at wherever you're at, like
there's always something out there.
There is.
I've helped several people get started in their journey on sobriety. I'm not a sponsor. That's just not me. And Morgan's like, I meant to visit. It's like, Morgan, we're not gonna fight you.
Morgan goes, I'm scared of your wife now.
Listen, if I was gonna sick anybody on you to be my child, they're terrifying.
Oh, I love it.
So, but I don't sponsor people because sponsoring somebody takes a lot of dedication,
Yeah.
right? I don't have that time, and that would be unfair to somebody that started to put faith in
You
me.
wouldn't be able to give them everything they needed, right?
No, I wouldn't, but I'll get you where you need to be.
Right.
I'll stop what I'm doing. I'll get you where you need to be. And oh, hey, that's Joe. Joe's got a board too.
He does.
He got that board from the fundraiser you
He
were
sure
doing.
did. He was so honored, and that was one of the. Everybody talked about that gift, man. Everybody talked about that donation, man. They were all talking about it, and I loved it, man. It was so good.
That's awesome. You know, I used to be really bad at taking compliments. Like I hate it.
I did too. I would always be like, I'm just a guy, dude. Get out of here.
You're like, dude, I'm awful. I'm horrible. Look at this guy. He's amazing. Like that's me. Like, check this guy out. He does great work. And then a friend of mine that I met a couple of years ago was like, you got to live in the moment. Because if somebody compliments you, they're taking time to compliment you.
Yes.
I think that person was you that told me that.
It sounds familiar. It sounds very familiar.
Yeah. So yeah, we're starting to reap the rewards of the hard work, of the trials, the tribulations, the late night fights, all of it, the yelling, the screaming. My wife and I don't fight a lot. We fight really fast.
Right.
Like we're like, okay, let's go get ice cream.
Right. That's it. We're the same. Oh, dude, we're the same way, man. Same way. You got to get it off your chest. We got to talk about it. Let it out. Do what you got to do. Okay, now let's go check a movie out. Let's go get some ice cream. Do something, man.
So now is the time to take care of me.
Yeah.
Right. I've taken care of everybody. I've spent, yes, words of Shano, liquid velvet voice, like velvet. I have, from drinking real heavy, I had a pretty big scare a little while back, health wise. Nice. I love reading these comments. They're making me happy. But from drinking real heavy, I've always been a very slender dude.
Yeah.
Like I've always been around like 170. I'm 6'4". That's skinny.
Right.
But I became pregnant. Literally, my stomach looked like I swallowed a basketball because it was so distended from drinking.
Was it liver?
Nope. We'll get to the fun part because you're gonna laugh. So be prepared. I'm sorry. Don't if you're gonna drink anything, don't do that right now because you're gonna spit it out. So I was at the market. I set up, and all of a sudden, I just couldn't move. It hurt so bad. I couldn't. My back, my front, right, all in this general area. They thought I had a hernia. Right. A couple of days prior, I had leaned down and like literally this alien comes out and looks around. It's like, so I went to urgent care. They're like, it's a hernia. You're going to have surgery. I was like, great, I'll deal with it. So I went to the market and worked because, I'm an idiot.
That's what you do. That's what you get told you have a hernia. You got to have surgery. Go to the market.
Let's go to the market and work. Why not? Make some money. I hurt so bad I was in tears. So the market is like a family. Like 4 other vendors helped me break down in like 10 minutes, and I was out.
Yeah.
So we went to see the general surgeon, and he literally laughed at my face. He says, well, you don't have a hernia. I could have diagnosed it over the phone. It probably hurt like heck, but you've got a pregnant woman disease. I was like, what?
What?
Diastasis recti. Diastasis recti, for those of y'all that don't know, is abdominal separation. So your muscles here separated. This ligament was so stretched because I was so distended and like my belly was so huge that I've been going to see a trainer at a gym, this little hole in the wall gym that I love. I've lost 20 pounds since March. But that ligament's not going to go back to its normal size. So when I bend over, it sticks out.
What?
And it popped my muscles apart.
Woo!
So that's fun.
Was that recent?
That was like 2 weeks ago.
Oh no, dude.
Yeah, but we're fine now.
Yep.
I watch my back. I do stretches and stuff, but I'm taking care of myself. I'm going to the gym. Um, I'm growing what I want to do, like my socials.
How do you feel?
I
Like
feel amazing
outside of the pain, but
now mentally.
yeah,
How am I?
yeah,
I battle with depression. Battle with anxiety.
yep,
I battle with irritability. My wife tells me, when I get my anxiety, it manifests in different people, different ways,
it
right?
does.
Mine manifests as aggression, and I have
Mm,
to be very cautious of that. It was always, and this, mental health with men, especially, is a stigma. Like we don't talk about it.
100%.
I lost a lot of friends when I quit drinking, but then I realized I didn't lose friends. I lost drinking buddies.
Yes,
Right?
yes,
They weren't friends because they weren't there. I literally had a guy ask me, he's like, "When do you think you'll start drinking again?"
yep.
Dude.
Like really? Why would you
So,
ask that question?
yeah. So, you know, I I've got now with those a couple of those clubhouse guys I talk to on a regular basis. I hijacked a friendship in America, so I guess that's what you could say. It's a guy named Todd. He's TL Guitars. If you look it up on Instagram, he makes amazing handmade guitars. He makes them by hand, and they're gorgeous.
I just wrote it down. I'm gonna go check them out.
Oh yeah, it's cool.
Okay.
And he had a wood shop near our house in Americus. I needed a certain tool, and I was like, I'm gonna go ask him. I walk in, he's giving a guitar lesson. He stops, he goes, "Can I help you?" I said, "My name's Garrett. I've got a wood shop. I heard you're a woodworker. We're gonna be friends."
Yeah,
That's literally what I said.
yeah.
He is one of my best friends
That's
right
so
now.
cool,
Like
man.
he moved back to Minnesota. We went up there to go hang out in February. I talked to him.
Wait,
I
wait,
tell
wait.
him,
Why would you go to Minnesota in February, man? Was it like
oh,
literally 75 below zero?
it
Like,
was a blizzard. They had like 3 feet of snow. It was beautiful. It was amazing. Uh, I've got pictures of my wife that I want to like tattoo on me because they're so amazing. We'll talk
love it.
about tattoos in a second.
Yeah.
I don't know how long you got me, but we could talk forever. You just tell
I'd,
me.
I'd say about another 15, 20 minutes, man. We should be good to go,
Oh
man.
yeah, we're good.
Absolutely.
Um, I tell my friends I love them,
Yeah.
right? Because I've lost a lot of friends lately, and you don't know. I tell my male friends I love them. I make it uncomfortable, right?
Right.
I'll tell you. I'll be like, "Hey, I love you." No, I'm
Well,
serious.
dude, what are you saying? Like,
I love you.
I love you. Yes.
I want.
Yes.
So yeah, I actually talked to my doctor yesterday, telling him kind of where I was mentally and what was going on, and we did a little shifting and some medicine stuff, and
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. Because I want to be a better. My wife makes me want to be a better person.
I love that.
That's it.
I love that.
So I'm taking care of me, and one of the things I've been taking care of me is I'm doing things now that I've always wanted to do, but I was always scared to do.
Like bucket list stuff. Like you just want to check it off the box.
Just
Let's
want
go.
to check the box. I've
Yeah.
got psoriasis. I've got that in check. I worked hard to keep my skin in check so that I can start doing stuff like this.
Oh, look at that. Beautiful.
So, and
I'm acting really surprised right now because I'm like this, but you sent me pictures of tattoos and I'm like, they're so amazing. I love the colors and everything.
yeah, so I've got a great artist. Her name's Jennifer Edge. She's here locally. She does amazing watercolor work. I love giving shout outs to my friends.
Yeah.
I met her through her wife, who was another woodworker, kind of hobbyist woodworker that followed me on Instagram, and I followed her back. And she was a friend of mine told me that she thought that was cool, and so I like that. It feels weird for me,
Yeah.
right? People are like, "Oh, dude, I follow you on Instagram. I've been following you for years."
Nice. Thanks.
Cool. Like I don't know what to say. What do I do with my hands?
I know.
Um,
Nobody ever really knows what to do with their hands.
no.
That's why I'm always like this. La 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 all over the place.
So now I like to talk to people. Used to when I first started, people tell me, "Oh, my grandfather was a woodworker." Blah blah. I'd be like, "Okay, you're not buying anything. Go away."
Right.
Why?
Yeah.
What if that was me and I was telling somebody I just started in my sobriety, I just started woodworking. I talked to a guy and they told me to go away.
Right.
Right? Like so I like to talk to those people. I like to talk to the young guys especially.
Well, the one thing that you just said a minute ago that stood out to me was you said that when I said, how are you feeling right now, right? After all this stuff like that. And you said, I still suffer from depression, anxiety, and the manifestation that happens afterwards with aggression and things like
Mhm.
that. So what do you find now that you use to be able to battle through some of that stuff? Like right now, like, so if you are in a place where you're feeling depressed or down, is it strictly woodworking that pulls you out of it? Or is it
No.
like what pulls you out of that now? What do you use to be able to really get involved, to be able to say I gotta turn it around a little bit? Or is it just time? Or like where are you at now with that?
I don't think there's any one thing,
Yeah.
right? Um, I would sit here and try to give you the cookie cutter answer of I try to focus on, my wife and my happiness and my joys and all that. I don't know.
Right.
It's the moment, I have to consciously think, right? It's more conscious effort. It's work.
It is work.
It's work. You can't just take a pill and it's going to be okay.
Correct.
That's whether you're sober, not sober, not, my wife could have a drink and be done, like have one drink and go home.
Right.
I hate those people. I can't do that ever, right?
I
I
know.
get I get so mad because like they have cool things now, like cool flavorful things, and I'm like, nope.
Right.
Um,
Well, it's interesting, Garrett, because my wife was, like I said earlier, is also sober for 11 years or 12 years now. She's coming up on 12 years, but she had some issues where the liver started to fail, and there was some other things or whatever. So we almost lost her. And then the doc told her you can't drink anymore. So she's like, okay, that's it. I don't need AA. I don't need anything. This is my decision. I'm doing it for my
yeah,
family. And that was it. Right. But one of
yeah,
the things that you just said a minute ago that really effed with our head, was really bad. It effed with us so bad is how many friends that we lost just because she was sober now. Like,
yeah,
these are people that don't even know how to have a conversation with her, because it was literally her thing was she would drink and party and rage and get out there and be wild. And they were like, this is the girl that I know. And now they're like, oh, I'm going to have a conversation with you. And I'm actually going to what is this all about? I don't like this. They were out. We lost really good friends. And
yeah.
like you said a minute ago, people
Nobody tells you about
promise
that.
you. No, you don't
Nobody tells you
realize
about
that's
that.
going to
That
happen.
was the hardest thing for me.
It's
Um,
insane.
yeah, my wife and I didn't go out of the house for almost a year.
Right.
Um, I didn't talk to. I went from because I bartended for over a decade in the same town in
Right.
many different places, so I knew everybody.
Yep.
I went from hanging out with everybody to having like 3 friends.
Right. It's just crazy.
That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
That's why I'm glad I have my wife. My wife is my best friend. We did stuff. We had safety phrases. If we were out somewhere and my anxiety and I didn't feel safe or comfortable, in the early stages of sobriety, I'd look her dead in the face and say, "Oh, don't we have to take Michaela in the morning?
Right.
That's Michaela's my child." And she go, "Oh, yeah." And then, that was our get out.
Right.
Nobody questioned that. I
Yeah.
couldn't
My
be
wife
like,
had the same thing. We were at a party. She gets a little, even to this day, even 11
"Mhm,
years, 12 years, she has those moments where she's like, I'm not feeling comfortable right now. I'm just not feeling this. And I'm like, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, you give me the look. I got the look. We're out. Just because I don't want to put her in that place, because, I don't want her to feel uncomfortable. Then she's always feeling bad for me. Like, you could hang out with your friends and do what I'm like, I don't care. You were literally all that matters. So we're moving this out. We're going to move over. We'll go watch a movie. We'll go do something, you know what I mean? Or whatever, just to be able to step away.
we have family dinner every Sunday.
Nice.
The kids come over, one kid lives with us. They're going blind. So they don't drive. So,
Gotcha.
they're going to be, so we're really nice to them because we realize they are going to take care of us one day.
Right.
So, we're very nice. Um,
The tit for tat, baby. I'm nice
Right.
to you now. You better be nice to me later.
right. Um, my wife calls them their little broke best friend. Um, it's great. No, I do. I adore my family. Sometimes I
By the
want to
way,
bump
Joe, that comment that you just made a minute ago, I don't know if that means you're 22 years sober. If it does, congratulations and bravo,
Yes,
brother.
I'm
I
proud
know
of you.
you lost a lot of friends too. If that's the case, we all
Mhm.
feel you. And like we just talked about, people don't realize that that's part of the equation. It's going to be part of the equation. When you make a life change, whether it's sobriety, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's working out, losing weight, whatever it is, there are a set of friends that you thought were in your circle that legitimately are
not.
no longer in your circle because you're not that guy that they thought you were, or that girl they thought you were. So it's kind of part of it, but you're healthier. you're wiser, you're moving forward, you're growing, all those things. So at the end of the day, it's well worth it. So
That one of the things that another person told me a long time ago, yeah, you're going to lose a lot of friends, but the friends you make from the day you get sober,
yeah,
actually, I'd say about a year past, because that first year sucks.
right.
You don't know what to do. You're
Well,
still
you're
trying to
trying to figure
figure.
shit out, man. You're like, I don't even know what's going on right now.
But I've made a handful of friends since then, new friends, because it's hard to make friends when you're older, right?
Yeah.
You're not like, hey, come over to my house, watch a movie. It's weird. Um, the friends I have now are solid. Like,
Yeah.
I could call any of them, be like, hey, this just happened. I need you here. They'd be there.
You know why that is? Because they accept you for you. They
Yeah,
know you as a person and they like the person that you are, not the image, not the crazy, not the drunks, not anything. Like literally at the end of the
right.
day, they love you for you, man, and they're in it with you. And that makes those solid friends even more solid than anybody, because you're like, all right, man, you accept me for who I am. Let's just move forward and do this kind of thing. I love that fact. I do, because I have some really good friends from that too.
I guess last thing, because we're getting close. It's one of the things you have to watch out for. Anybody that's going through sobriety, I want you to listen to this and listen to this hard. Do not let people judge you for who you are becoming. They will hold on to the old you as much as they can, and so they will give you the most grief
Yep.
because they're still trying to hold on to that old you.
Mhm.
Find the people that love what you're becoming and hold on to those people tight.
Ooh, say that again for the people in the back for me one more time. Would you just say?
Find the people that love you for you, or
Yep.
find the people that love who you're trying to become.
That's it. Boom.
The people that give you the biggest cheers when you're trying to become something. Those are the people you hold on to,
Yep. I love
right?
that.
That, even other woodworkers that at the market, there's cutting board guys that come in, and there's one we didn't get along because he likes to copy style. Another guy comes in and he's like, hey, I went through your entire Instagram profile and made sure I wasn't copying anything you were doing. He and I
Right.
are still friends, right? Those are the people that push you and want you to be better and cheer for you when you're better and there for you when you're struggling are the people that you hold on to.
You know,
And yeah,
I love that so much. I just had a conversation about this, Garrett, today. As a matter of fact, I was talking to somebody about their circle of friends, and I said to them, I said, listen, because they're trying to lose weight. They're heavier in weight wise and things like that, and
mhm,
they've been through diets, they've been through all this stuff over and over again. So I told them, I said, if you ask the people that are around you, the people that you consider to be those close friends, those that inner circle, you make the comment of, hey, I'm starting to diet, I want to be able to get healthier, I want to be there. You'll see one of two people. One person will be, hell yeah, let's do this. I got this with you. Let's go together. Let's do what we got to do. I got your back. Whatever you need, call me anytime. I got you. And you got the other side that's like, yeah, you tried this before. You failed in the past. I know you for years. You're just going to fall off the or whatever they do, whether they think they're giving you tough love or not, it doesn't matter. You need to move those people out of that circle, that tight circle that you have, and surround yourself with people. They don't all have to be positive patties, but they got to be people that lift you up and inspire you and pull you forward. Just like you said a second ago, where you got people that are like cheering you on and saying, let's go. And this is amazing. You got to find those folks. And it's hard to sometimes because you got a lot of family and friends that aren't necessarily in that.
family's the hardest, dude.
Yes.
Families, because they're the ones that put through the most as a drunk,
Right.
right? Um, to this day, if I'm having a real bad day, my mom and I've talked about this quite a bit recently because I've really opened up and we talked more. Um, I was having a real bad day. She's like, "You're not going to drink, are you?" I'm almost 8 years sober, but that's what they know,
Correct.
right? So I can't judge them for that. I
Right.
just tell them, "No, I'm good."
Right. Right.
Um,
That's a you thing almost. It's a you thing, like that. You think that way, right?
at
I'm
this
not-
point, yeah.
yeah.
You know what my focus is right now? My wife's happiness.
Yep.
I spoil my wife rotten, and she
Mhm.
will tell you she is horrible. Um, we make jokes of she is a sit down asker. As soon as I sit down, she's like, "Hey, can you get me?"
Hey, while you're up,
Yeah,
oh come on.
yeah. But you know what? I do that stuff every day of the week.
Yeah.
And I may give her flack about it, which I do. And but I love it because she was there for me.
Yeah,
So
man. Listen, here's the thing, right? So as we close this up here, guys, listen. I know Morgan just said, "Haha, I like her. I like her." She said. So
yeah,
here's the thing, guys. Right? So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring Garit in here on this podcast. We talked about for a while about interviewing and just kind of jamming out a little bit. But as you could see, I mean, literally, when you think about it, at the end of the day, all of the stuff that this guy's been through, from soup to nuts, all the way beginning to end, A to Z, and there's no end because the guy's still going and he's still making impacts and he's still doing whatever. But to see the growth and the journey of where he's been, to hit rock bottom, to pick themselves back up, start the upward trend, and then also hit that bump in the road, whether it's a tornado or whether it's wiping stuff out, because we're all going to hit a bump in the road. How do you overcome that and get to the next phase of wherever it is that you got to go? Legitimately, I wanted to bring him in here because of that reason. He's an inspiration when you really think about it. He may not think that way. I think that way. And I think all my listeners and the people that are watching this will think that way about this gentleman, because at the end of the day, you can overcome anything that's thrown your way. You just got to be focused. You got to keep on moving things forward and be patient with yourself. Forgive yourself a little bit as you're moving things forward, because you can really get to that sunshine at the end of your road if you really, really, if you put your mind to it and you really, really focus on it. So, Garit, I appreciate you coming in on this podcast and this video
thank
cast.
you.
I appreciate you being here. The crowd was great tonight. I mean, we had all kinds of people commenting and everything.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. As we close out, you care if I plug some things?
Oh, please do, man. I was going to say, if you got anything you want people to go to or anything you want to plug, go for it, brother.
So down at the bottom in this, if y'all are watching here, you'll see website found. Website's not found. So here's the thing about the website. It's built.
Yep.
I am so busy right now that I'm terrified. I can't turn it on. I'm not going to turn it on and not give people the best of my ability.
Yep.
Right. So Linktree, you're going to find a lot of things. The Linktree, you're going to find my Instagram, my TikTok, my Facebook. You're also going to find a link to Brunt, these guys right here. So this company started about 5 years ago out of a dude's garage, right? They make boots, workwear, pants, stuff. I absolutely love it. I'm not just plugging them because I actually met them and they're great people. They filmed a TV commercial about me. Did I say that?
No, man, that sounds amazing.
It was like a little blurb. My niece called me. She's like, "I just saw you on TV." But yeah, so there's a code there, CW Wood 10. That'll get you $10 off any order over $60. Right? Any order over $60. It's CW Wood 10.
So CW
Wood
all
CW Wood 10. The number 10.
okay,
10. But that's in that link tree. You'll find that there. You'll also find links to different companies I work with. Instagram's the best place to watch, but we're about to jump on TikTok huge. I do TikTok a little bit. There's that code right there, CW Wood 10.
Yeah.
We're going to jump back on TikTok a lot. We've started, trying to post every day. It's difficult for me. I don't have that mindset yet. I want to, but it's a thing. You know that.
There's a guy named Millweb. If you get a chance, I used to watch him. He works in a paper company, so he does he puts the camera above him and he does all these packaging stuff and folding, and he makes all these posters or whatever. And he's got over 1 million followers. The guy, like, all kinds of different stuff, and we talk all the time. And he tells me, I don't know why people follow me, but they love watching the process of the things that I do. If I'm packaging things, if I'm boxing things, if I'm doing paperwork or whatever. And I know I talked to you about it a little while back, where I was like, you need to, like, set up a camera that's just stationary. You're not even bothered by it. You're literally, if you go live, you flip the switch and you're doing a board and you're putting things together and you're planing and you're sanding. Dude, I think people would love to see something like that. I know I would. I'd be like, that ASMR thing again. Oh, look how smooth that is. This is nice, But I think that there's a market for that for you.
Well, that's what, we want to do that.
Yeah.
And whatever I can do to help somebody getting into it, the little things, what tools I have. Another thing on my link tree is my Amazon storefront. I basically put most everything I use in that storefront. Show me the process. Yeah, it's so fun. We've got it ironed out now to where it's a greased wheel with the process. But yeah, so you can find that there. You can reach out to me on Instagram. That's probably the best place to contact me right now. I'm very receptive. I answer pretty quick. You'll see a lot of that on Instagram. That's the big one. The website, my goal for the website, and I want you all to hold me accountable, send me messages, whatever you want to do. I love accountability because I get, like this.
Right.
Um,
You get to be the ping pong ball,
right,
oil on
right.
it.
And so I'd like to have it launched right after probably the end of September. And what we're going to do
You got
is
some accountability come from Morgan. You can already
I
see it.
see that. I see that.
That's
That what we're going to do is we're not going to be like a normal store. There's not going to be constant inventory because all of my stuff is custom.
custom boards. Yeah.
All of it is one-offs. We're going to do drops and we're going to promote drops. And then all of a sudden, we're going to drop 20 boards. Right. And then once those are gone, be probably another 2 weeks, we'll drop 20 more.
Yeah.
We'll have a gallery so that you can see stuff. And this is what we get a lot of our custom work. I don't do a lot of like fully custom. I make what I want and I sell it.
Right.
I may not like what I make,
Right.
but I stopped doing that a long time ago. I just make what's there, what looks visually appealing.
Yeah.
And somebody likes it. We've been blessed that way. Yeah, so we're gonna have a gallery so you can say, hey, I like this, but could you do this?
Yeah.
People send me pictures of send me a picture of your kitchen.
Right.
I'll either match it or accent it.
I love it. I love that. And I love the fact that you've kept the original stamp, dude. Like that.
Yeah, that'll never change.
That threw me off a little bit because I was like, wait a minute, that is true. It's not like the new logo. It's not like it's literally. I love the reason why as well. And that's amazing to me. I love that so much.
Traditional wedding gifts your first year of wood. Yes, she got me accountability squad activated. Dun, dun, dun. So the first traditional gift is wood. She got the brand because I worked with wood. Not knowing. There you go, Morgan. Come on. I never thought I'd say I'm 3 weeks out on custom work.
Right.
Before I can even start on it.
Yep.
And people still want to talk to me. It's cool.
I love it, man. All right. Well, listen, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Seriously. Yeah. Like we've been talking for a long time. This has been long overdue.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do appreciate your story. And I also from me to you, I really appreciate your support you always give me. Every once in a while, I'll get a little bit of a text message because, as I was going through the muck a little bit there, and just a little bit of a, hey, just thinking about you or whatever else. It just matters when you can reach out to people and just connect a little bit like that. So I appreciate you, brother. And one day we're going to sit down and not have beers, but we'll have like a cup of coffee together and we'll just do whatever. I don't even care what we'll do, man. We'll just chill out and hang out and whatever else because I love Tennessee and maybe I'm going to make a trip down there to come and see you. But
hey, you could be the first guest.
Yeah, I love it, man. But I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for being on with me. And everybody here has all been saying I'm going to go through the comments real quick with you. Great job, Shano and Garrett. Thanks. Loved hearing from both of you. I got this has been amazing from Morgan and then Sabrina. Thank you both. This was great, man. So all right, guys. Well, much love to all of you. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this podcast on the audio format and on the video format and hanging out with us. I got a couple more interviews coming up next week and the week after. Little Bricks charities coming up. Go ahead, bud. What's up?
Last thing.
Yeah.
Remember your track record for getting through bad days is 100%.
Right. Yes. So it's the truth, my man. It's the truth.
Thank you so much for having me. I greatly appreciate you. Everything you're doing, your whole vibe, love it. Now I get to go act like a giddy little school kid because this was so much fun. But
all right,
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you. All right, guys, we'll talk soon.